If you need help making the right choice, who can teens talk to?
Okay, well, I think that question depends on what kind of teen you are. Some teens are actually still close to their parents, and they feel like they can actually have those really candid conversations with their parents, which I think is great. But that's not every teen. In fact, that's not most teens. By the time teens are your age, not happening so much. So I think if there is maybe you have a friend who has an older sibling, and by older, I don't mean 2 or 3 years older. I mean someone who may be in their early 20s, or getting towards their 30s, something like that, that's been where you are, that's kind of going through or has gone through what you've been through and has come out the other side of it. That's always a person or age group that I think is really appropriate for teens to talk to, because they know enough to give you proper advice. They're going to be past the point of where you all are, where you're still figuring it out. Most of them have started to really solidify, and they're settled in their journey and in their process, and they can give you some really good advice. I think that if you have good counselors, social workers, things like that at your school, and you feel comfortable discussing things with them, that's another outlet, absolutely, that you can go through to get some sort of help. And then obviously, social media and things, not Instagram, social media, but like apps and things like that are designed for the purpose of helping teens and connecting with teens and supporting teens, just like what YHELP does, I think are critical and crucial places to get that type of advice and that type of important information. Not always advice. Sometimes you just need to know stuff. So anyone or any kind of resource along those lines that can get you that, I think teens should avail themselves of it. I think it's very important.
In your line of work, can you give an example on how the wrong decision impacted somebody's life?
Oh, absolutely. Well, like you said at the beginning, I'm a jail therapist. So I work inside a correctional institution, and I actually work with females. So I can tell you that there are females that are 2 years older than you that are sitting in my institution. They came in on their 18th birthday because they were already in trouble before they turned 18. And listening to their stories, a lot of them, they were in the wrong place at the wrong time because they were hanging out with the wrong people. They got themselves caught up in drugs and alcohol. What they thought was going to be a fun night out turned into something that has essentially ruined the rest of their lives, because they're facing felony charges from everything from armed robbery, murder. I've seen it all. And literally, they are 18. So making the proper choices is more important than you recognize, especially when you're your age. That's why it's really important to stay true to yourself. If something doesn't feel right, if you instinctually, that voice in your head, that angel on your shoulder, whatever you want to call it, is telling you no, it's really important to listen, because most of the young women I talk to, they say that that's what was going on for them. They had that voice. They had that inkling that they shouldn't be doing what they were doing, but they weren't strong enough. They weren't brave enough to say no to it. And now they're sitting in jail. When
you were a teen, was there a time you knew you made the wrong choice?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I definitely can say I made several wrong choices as a teenager. Fortunately for me, I was able to rebound from most of those choices in a reasonable amount of time. Not always the same day or the day after, but a lot of the choices that I made, I was able to fix over time. I know not everybody has the benefit of being able to do that, like some of the ladies that I work with now. But I definitely made my fair share of mistakes as a teenager, my fair share of wrong choices. And some of them I definitely regret, to the point where if I could go back, I would do something completely different.
How did you move forward after realizing you made the wrong choice?
It wasn't always easy. It was difficult depending on what the choice was. Sometimes I just had to live it down. I had to swallow my pride and admit that I was wrong. And that's not the easiest thing to do, especially if you're dealing with your parents. Other times I may have had to apologize to people for choices that I've made, things that I've said or done. And that's not an easy thing to do either. But again, it's all part of owning that choice. If I was strong enough and brave enough to make it, knowing that it might have been wrong, then I need to be strong enough and brave enough to take those consequences and do it right. So I just pushed through it, because the reality is, as uncomfortable as it was for me to do that, my sense of well-being and my sense of integrity in terms of who I want to be as a person was more important than whatever else was going on that led me to make that choice. So I didn't want to be seen a certain way. I didn't want to be seen as less than I am, or not staying true to myself. So if I did something that was against my character or just not appropriate for me, I had to make it right. I couldn't sit with that because I couldn't live with it. Ultimately, my conscience would get the better of me. So I just had to do what I had to do to fix it.
Do you have any advice for teens?
The reality is mistakes are important. You're going to make them, and it's okay if you do. You grow through pain. I know that doesn't sound like something anyone really wants to do, but that's where that expression growing pains comes from. There are going to be mistakes you make. You are going to make the wrong choice. So reaching for perfection, it's a waste of time. You're not going to be able to accomplish that. But what you can accomplish is making the best decision for yourself as often as possible and not allowing anyone or anything, society, social media, school pressures, internal pressures, even parental pressure, keep you from doing what you know you are meant to do. Most of you as teens know exactly who you're meant to be. Already starting to figure out who you are. So you just got to walk the walk. And if something or someone comes against you in that, be strong enough to stand your ground. Because laying that foundation, being able to stand your ground, being able to stand firm, can really shape your entire life and make a huge difference in the person you become. So I would just suggest to all teens to just really try to figure out who you are, own it, stand your ground, and when you make a choice, be strong enough to see it through. Whether it's good or bad, see it through, and you'll come out the other side better for it.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
Well, first I want to thank you so much again for having me on. And if there are any young people out there like yourself around your age who are looking for some help from an experienced counselor, I am going to be launching my own private practice very soon. It's called Life by Design Therapeutic Solutions, coming soon to a website near you. Everything's going to be virtual. So I will be launching probably in the next couple of months. So if you know of teens, or if there is anyone out there that's seeing this that knows they need some professional help, feel free to give me a call. I will have a website up and running very soon, and I will make sure that I give all of my information to YHELP so that you can pass it on to any teens who need it.
Well, thank you.
Hey, don't click out the video yet. Did you like, comment, and subscribe? And also, be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at YHELPNow. And don't forget to check out my blogs at YHELPNow.com. See you later. Bye.